What up? What up? Ninja James here. Here to tell you the third memory that I got. Thanks for sticking with me. If that sounds good, go ahead and hit the like for me. If you want to see my next video and be updated, then hit the bell notification icon. And let's get started. I'm excited to talk about this. All right. So before I get started, I want to say that this is just for education or entertainment purposes only. I'm not like accusing anybody of anything. I'm certainly, this is just how I remember it, okay? This is just one of the memories that I have about when I got concussed and I eventually had a heart attack. I think it was right after this, actually. So let's get started. Um, it was around April, right? It was like Easter, right? And that happened to fall on the 20th, I think. Anyways, just to get right into it. So I was coming home and I had somebody behind me, right? It was like a guest. We'll just leave it at that. And like I came into my house and my I had my oxygen tanks behind the door, right? And there's like a bunch of them. So I let the door swing open and the door hit the oxygen tanks. Like it was kind of loud, right? It was really loud. But this is like the last thing that I remember, right? I made that loud noise, and instead of like turning around to apologize to my buddy that, like, like I just made this crazy noise, I just like continued into my apartment. I just walked right in. It was like I opened the door and it was like boom, and I like really didn't care enough to apologize to my friend that I had made this racket, let alone like the neighbor next door, right? So like I opened up the door, it swung open and it hit these oxygen tanks, right? And like a split second after that, I blacked out. So then it leads to me like going into the couch, like I had said in the previous video with the cat. Well, after I had like came to and my memory started coming back or whatever it was like my brain pieced together or tried to piece together. It's usually what our minds do. We try to come up with some kind of explanation, right? So that's what I did. I'm guessing. So um, what I think happened right then was right after the door opened. Um, the person behind me struck me in the back of the head, right? Like in dead center in the back of the head. And um I could show you which what I thought they hit me with, right? It's like a small oxygen tank. They got like there's like regular size oxygen tanks, there's medium ones, and then there's like small ones. They're like meh. They're like that big. They're itty bitty, right? So like they're light already. Like oxygen tanks, the oxygen itself is a very light, like molecular. It's I don't know. Is it a molecule or what? Tell me in the comments below if you know what the hell is oxygen, right? So yeah. Anyways, it's super light, whatever it is, and I got hit in the head with the tank, as far as I remember, right? And and it hit me so hard that like I passed out for I don't know how long, like. And I don't know if that was when I was under a cardiac arrest. I'm not sure. These all three of these memories just sort of blended together, right? Um, Naturally, once I inherited that memory, I confronted the person that I was with. I at least let them know that this is what I, remember to happen. So like they told me their version or their memory of it, and they said that yeah, they did show up that night. I answered the door and I turned around and the door slammed, not against the oxygen tanks, but slammed shut. So they said that they hesitated, and this is just what I remember them telling me right at this point. So this last memory consists of my memory plus the memory of the person that also could not, might not be what happened. Because you know what happens. I heard somebody make the reference to the game Telephone back in the day about something else, but like if you go to tell somebody something and then they go to tell somebody something else, and like the story just kind of eventually changes just because, right? Well, knowing this person, I wouldn't give them, entirely too much credit to remember exactly what happened themselves, right? So, with that being said, it was like they told me that they tried to open the door and it wasn't. First, they hesitated, and then they tried to open the door. And when they got the door open, I was laid up against my trash can. And my trash can is like right next to the door. I can't remember if they said that I was laid up against it or if I was inside of it. I don't know. This whole thing is super embarrassing anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't think, it doesn't matter what I think. You know what I'm saying? This is just how I remember what happened. And like I said, this is just for entertainment and educational purposes because this is like cause and effect. What happens after you get hit in the head hard enough? You know what I'm saying? I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm even able to talk again, comprehend thoughts, wear so many hats. What? I'm lucky. I'm super lucky. Um, Now, there's some bad side effects to this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you originally, my memory is nowhere near as good as it used to be. I'm remembering a lot of different things, like from my childhood and everything. Like, it's crazy. So, it's not like I don't recommend getting hit in the head by any means. Don't. Excuse me. Drink water if you're not. Um, yeah. Right after that, I somehow had a heart attack, right? And that just makes it even worse. You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy about this is after I had made it to the hospital, you know what? I'm not gonna skip anything. When I finally made it into the ambulance, this what are they called? Like there's a abbreviation for it. I can't like a paramedic anyway. So like this paramedic lady, she was super nice. Um, they got me into the stretcher and they got me into the ambulance ride. Now keep in mind, I live like an hour almost, maybe like 45 minutes by ambulance away from the city, Fargo. So I'm in the ambulance on the way to Fargo, and they got these little itty bitty water bottles. If you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. They're like 8 ounces, right? No, probably not even. They're like 4 or 8 ounces. I don't know. They're little bitty, right? They had one of those and a straw, and she had it. She kept pinching it. What the fuck? She kept pinching it at the like at the end. So like she was feeding it to me, right? And then like pinching it every time I got a very very little sip, just enough to like coat my mouth, like yeah, like the wet my whistle, if you will, right? It was just a very little amount. Because fun fact, apparently, like when your kidneys are failing, it if you ingest too much fluid, it's like trying to force fluid into like through a coffee straw, like one of them really thin ones. So like you can't. It's bad. It's even worse for your kidneys. It's like I don't know. Somebody explained it to me one time, and I get it. Right. On top of that, being as sick as I was, that was just the proper way to administer a little bit of water. So I think that saved me. There's so many little catalysts that went into actually me being saved. Like, for instance, my homie calling the ambulance. That right there saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then, yes, the paramedic. I still can't think of that abbreviation. Could you, somebody let me know what's the abbreviation I'm trying to think of for real? Because it's right there. Anyways, I think she had a hand in saving my life, straight up. So there are so many people that are involved in the story now because they single-handedly had something to do with my straight up recovery. You know what I mean? People at this facility that I learned that taught me how to walk again, like they literally held my hand gave me a walker to like learn how to walk again, you know? So, I don't even know. I think that I could have had more than one heart attack. Here's just an example of how many things happen that weren't even documented. The head injury didn't get documented until I was released from the hospital and put into the rehabilitation hospital. So I went through a whole hospital stay, which was about a week, maybe two. And okay, so just to give you a point of reference, this happened April 20th and I was in the rehabilitation facility for only 2 or 3 days. I got out on May 2nd, my sister's birthday. That was the day I got released from the hospital, the rehabilitation hospital. So, um, it's crazy. I wasn't in there. I was in there for a very short amount of time, but I was making so much progress. They asked if I wanted to be released early. At that time, early was May 5th. And I was like, yeah, all right. So that's over just after the weekend. I'll do that. Excuse me. So, um, I started recovering even faster or something. I had told some people in there, and I was like, hey, what's the average stay up in here? And they're like, about 12 days. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I think I might be out sooner. And they were like, well, that never happens. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm a pretty lucky guy. If it happens to anybody, I bet it happens to me. And sure enough, they let me out on my sister's birthday. They asked me first if I was comfortable with that. And I was like, yes, absolutely. So that's what happened. And here I am. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because there's a few reasons. But this story ain't even over yet. I can go into further detail about what happened, and I plan to because, this is fun. You guys are going to love it. Thanks again for watching. Have a good night. Tune in next time. I might try to make this video earlier tomorrow. I got dialysis in the morning, so I'm going to do that. You guys have a good night. All right. Thank you. Take care. Peace.